Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Today I'm going to show you how to make emotional piano melodies even if you don't have a MIDI controller. So I'm going to show you how to click these in. Let's go to the piano roll. Let's right click, go to the piano roll. Firstly, let's go to the tool, which is a script from FL Studios forums. It's called the chord progression tool. So we're going to start here. You can follow the basic music theory. Okay, so the root note, in this case, we're going to play in the B major, the B key, and then the major scale. So B major. And we're going to start at octave. Let's start at octave 4. So it's a lower type of sound. So firstly, to get emotion out of your sound, playing the lower frequencies is half of the equation. If I just play DFA up here, it's very lightweight. It doesn't have much, it has a sound to it, but it's not heavy enough. So adding simply an octave below can make it sound more emotional because it's reinforcing that root note. So simply adding lower frequencies can add more motion. So firstly, let's go to the first chord. Let's make this a 2 chord. Okay, we're going to make this a 9th version of that. It's called a chord extension. You don't need to memorize that. We're not going to do inversions because we have so many notes in a 9th chord. The second chord, we're going to do a 5. So this is a 2-5-1 chord progression for those who are familiar. And the second chord is 5. We're going to do a 9th chord there. And this is going to make our dominant chord. Then we're going to go to the third chord, which is the tonic, and play that at a 9th. And then the fourth chord here is an empty space. And we don't need to mess with anything else. Just hit accept. So here's what it sounds like. Very bland. So let's pull this down an octave, hit control down. Okay, now let's do what's called revoicing, or altering a chord. Let's pull this down with a tritone substitution. It's called 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 semitones. That's a cool way to play it, but let's revoice this for R&B. Let's raise our 5th and our 9th. Okay, so now we're getting more of a soulful vibe. So the next step is velocity. The velocities are too programmatic right now. So let's go to tools and let's use the humanize tool and just mess with these parameters for time and offset and velocity offset. And now you can see it looks like we've played this by hand. The only thing here is grab the slice tool. Anytime you have overlapping notes, FL Studio mutes the note, so hit shift right click to make sure no notes overlap, or else it won't play the note. Now, most people tell you to strum the notes, but that's not really an organic way to play chords all the time. Now, if we were to strum, you would highlight control, highlight these, hit Alt S to add a strum. Now that sounds realistic because of the time offset, but most people do a strum and it just sounds artificial. So it sounds real because it feels like a human kind of fumbled into the chord as opposed to had all the notes mapped out. Whereas most strums are like this. It just sounds very fake. So as you can see, half the battle is understanding chord voicing. The other half is understanding which chord to even play, which we teach you at busyworksbeats.com/betterbeatmaker. I have a whole free course for you guys on how to play music theory, how to play melodies, how to play chords. Then you have to learn about velocity, voicing, offsetting, all the small little things that make something sound human. Now, how do you come up with a top line out of this? Simple. You figure out your tonic or your root note in this case. In this case, B major. We're going to go to the typing keyboard. We're going to right click on B. We're going to go to the major pentatonic under the scales. Okay, so if it's a major scale that you're in, go to the major pentatonic. If you're in a minor scale, go to the minor pentatonic. And we're going to right click on octave 5, which is a higher octave. And now you can play with your typing keyboard and improv over this chord. So let's record this. Okay, so I played that with no tempo. So it's that simple. And to add more humanization to that, what you just played, go to tools and use your humanize tool. Let's say your melody's too loud and you just want it to tuck underneath, highlight the notes by hitting control, left click to highlight, hit Alt X, and then pull down your multiply. Now, if you want a new chord at the very end, I'll show you guys a simple technique to make your chord sound even more lush. So if you're landing on a major chord, take your tonic, your fifth, and your ninth, because technically the ninth to the fifth is a fifth. So they're the same basic distance. And what we're going to do is, if it's a major chord, pull these up one. If it's a minor chord, pull them down one. So we landed on a major, so we're going to pull them up. And it creates a nice tension going back to the root. You could also hit Alt-S to add strum. And it creates that tension that we need to move into the next chord. And here's another tip, and this is the last tip for today. You can copy your top line melody, pull it up one octave, and just offset it by hitting Alt, left click, and drag it a little to the right. So it's a little bit offset. And these two playing off of each other gives it a little more emotion, but it's more of a jazz technique. Okay, so you don't need it every single song, but that's a nice way to add a more playful sound to the top end of your melody. So that is how you emotionalize your melodies using piano inside of FL Studio using no MIDI controller. If you like this video, subscribe if you're new. If you want to learn more, go to busyworksbeats.com/betterbeatmaker. We've trained over 1 million producers around the world. Some are going to work with Drake, Kanye West, Post Malone, Ariana Grande, French Montana, Young Thug, YG, Lil Baby, Polo G, Trippie Redd, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, on and on and on. There's so many. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you're new, and go to busyworksbeats.com/betterbeatmaker. Peace. Link will be below.